Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Barron Arts Center. Today, we're really very pleased to open our latest brochure, A Parade of Mayors, Volume 1, which covers our mayors through 1957. Next year, we will have our Volume 2 of this issue, which will cover mayors from 1957 on to our mayor for today. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome Mayor McCormick to say a few words for this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Dolores. I think it's 1967, isn't it? All right, so it's about time the mayor's got some attention. You know, no one ever pays attention to mayors. Everywhere I go, no one knows who I am. No one pays any attention to me. And finally, I'm going to get my picture in a brochure. I'm really looking forward to that. But listen, I think these brochures are terrific. I think what this group does is terrific. And I want to say thanks for all of that. Of course, the two best mayors in history were Frank Pelsman and me. Kidding. It's funny, I've been talking to McGreevy a lot. He's running for mayor of Jersey City now. So I talk to him a lot because he tries to remember everything he did here to put on his resume, and he forgets everything. So he calls me and I tell him what he did, because of course he probably didn't do what I did. But anyway, I digress. So listen, I just want to say that this is wonderful. I can't remember the bus tour I went on. There was a beautiful brochure, and then the last one I came here, I remember it said something about the Ford's Women's Club, and I remember that sparked us to do something with them. And we did, and they went to tea. We had the tea social, that's what it was. The Ford's Women's Club had a tea social that they used to always have at their old building, and it was at the Hickory Senior Center. It was unbelievable. That whole idea came from reading that brochure. So I just want to say thanks. I appreciate everything you all do. You work hard, and it's wonderful. We have a rich, celebrated history in Woodbridge Township. I'm just talking about next year, so it's the 250th for the country. We're already working on ideas because we want to beat other towns to it. Our Summerfest that we do every year in June is going to have a theme, military history theme. We'll probably try to get some kind of military choir, some kind of military band. It won't be the whole day, but some of the entertainment will be military themed. We're going to do a brochure on that, the 250th, and as it relates to Woodbridge. So you all know Washington and Cross Keys, but there's Civil War. How many veterans are buried behind the White Church? I mean, there's a rich history of Woodbridge connected to American history. So that's going to be the focus next year. We're going to do all kinds of great things, work with the kids. If you remember, Cynthia had a great art train theme when we did what was that, last year or 2 years ago, Cyn?
It was 2 years ago.
2 years ago, and we did a whole train theme with the downtown show, and she had 500 entrants with art, train-related art. And the top 50 got picked and were displayed here. It was just really cool to have that. And we want to do the same thing this year and have people do their art related to Woodbridge/American history, something with a connection down here and the country. So there's so many possibilities that we're going to work on. And then the year after that, we have the Barron Arts Center's 150th anniversary. So we're going to be busy. We're going to be busy celebrating history, and everybody here is going to be a big part of that. So I want to say thank you in advance. So have a good show.
Thank you, Mayor McCormick. Today we have the privilege of launching our brochure and hearing about it. The person who has spearheaded the brochure is Frank Pelsman, and he's going to be speaking in a few minutes. But before he does, I'd like to introduce, we work very closely with the Woodbridge Main Library now as well. And every time we have a brochure, they have a little display, which if you have not seen, please make sure you take a look at it. It's out in the foyer, and Julie has done a great job, as she always does, to bring into the fold the mayors that were available, because some of the earlier mayors we really couldn't get a whole lot of information on. So I'm going to ask Julie if she would just talk to us a little bit about her role in this.
Thank you, Dolores. Thank you everyone for coming. My name is Julie and I'm a librarian at the Woodbridge Main Library. I also serve on the Historic Preservation Commission. I'm delighted to open the library's third annual Woodbridge Treasures exhibit alongside the release of the newest HPC brochure. With thanks of course to Monica Eppinger, Marianne Ralph and the library board, and many, many thanks to Cynthia and Brandon at the Barron Art Center. I'm so glad to be able to continue with these exhibits. They consist of highlights from the library's local history collections. So the title of our exhibit this year is Woodbridge Treasures: Victorian Life in the Township. We invite you to explore the everyday lives of Woodbridge residents through documents and items that illustrate our thriving township from the mid-1800s to the early 1900s. This year, the full exhibit is actually virtual. It's accessible through the Woodbridge Public Library website, but a selection of the items will be on display here at the Barron Art Center through the end of March. So many of the featured items are small glimpses into everyday life. So there's rent checks, tax bills, and photographs of friends and family spending the day together or playing a game of cards. Alongside these more personal items are documents which show new advancements in Woodbridge like gas lighting, a trolley, and of course its first library. Also on display here as part of the physical exhibit only are a few items very generously on loan from the Woodbridge History Museum. We have a beautiful porcelain clock, a pair of Victorian boots, and a woman's winter coat, so definitely take a look at those because they're beautiful. Although the theme of this year's exhibit doesn't follow exactly the theme of the newest brochure, there is some overlap. You'll see here on display photographs from the inside of A.P. Cranston's home in Colonia. Cranston was Woodbridge's first mayor in 1911, so while you're reading about him in the new brochure, make sure you take a look at the photographs. And that's all I have to say about that, so thank you again for coming, and I hope you enjoy the exhibit.
Before we move forward, I'd just like to introduce the Historic Preservation Commission members who are here today. The Historic Preservation Commission started probably maybe 2004, around that time, when Father Bob, myself, and 4 other people were appointed to this commission. Then our leader died very suddenly and the commission kind of just fell apart. So at one point, Father Bob and I went to speak with the mayor at the time, who was Mayor Pelsman, and said to him, we really would like to resurrect the Historic Preservation Commission because we think it has a valuable place in our community. And he was very happy that we were going to be doing that. So we did it. The town passed an ordinance, which at the time allowed us to have 7 members. A year later, I went back and said, 7 members, that's like nothing. Do you know what it's like to try to do any work with 7 members? So they changed the ordinance to 9 members, whoopee. But we have 9, now we have we have a member of HAUT on our commission, and we have a liaison. The town historian is on our commission, so we have a couple more members, but for a small group, we're mighty strong and do a lot for the community. I'm very happy for that, and I thank them very much. So I would like to introduce Miguel Martin, who is one of our members, Julie, who is one of our members, Frank Pelsman, another member, Marty Genser, another member, and Amy Poos, and I think I haven't, and Bruce Christensen. Okay, and then Debbie Kakara has been sitting with us while Dan D'Arcy, who is another member of our commission, is out of town. So again, thank you very much for your support, because without you, we couldn't do what we do. And the person who has done a lot of the work on the brochures over these past couple of years has been Frank Pelsman. He takes it from the beginning We all work to evaluate and read and critique and do everything that has to be done to get the brochure to where it is, but he is the one who spearheads it. So today he's going to talk about the brochure and tell us a lot about our mayors in Woodbridge. Enjoy.
Good morning, and thank you to everyone who came out for the launching of the Woodbridge Township Historical Preservations Commission brochure number 16, titled A Parade of Mayors, Volume 1. As Dolores had mentioned, it was challenging to acquire any information prior to the 20th century with regards to elected officials with the honorific title of mayor. As a result, the commission research for this brochure begins with the earliest elected official with the noted reference of mayor, and that would be Alfred P. Cranston in 1911. So this volume 1 starts off with Mayor Cranston, and it ends in 1967 with Mayor Walter Zappolo. During this time span, Woodbridge Township grew from a mostly rural populace into a suburban community where the leadership of its mayors had to forge the way to establish unity among an ever-changing, diverse population by bolstering the pride of its residents. That in itself was a challenging task, and still is today. But you throw in 2 world wars, the Great Depression, bank failures. We had over 30 new schools that were built during that time. And of course, you had the nation's industrial revolution, which included us improving our own corporate infrastructure. The mayors featured in this brochure certainly had their work cut out for them. It would be impossible to list all the achievements of the 16 mayors that we name in this Volume 1 brochure. Consequently, the commission did its best to feature accomplishments that were unique to each mayor during the years they were in office. Along with the featured accomplishments, we have photos of 8 former mayors, as well as various pictures that show our mayors hard at work in the township. We also were able to acquire, I should say Julie was able to acquire, and share with us the township organization chart from January 1st, 1962. This is pictured right in the center of your brochure, and it laid the groundwork for the town's government internal structure that we still have today. With this brochure titled Volume 1, we all know what that means, right? There's going to be what? Volume 2, right? So around this time next year, we hope to see all of you here again as we launch the Parade of Mayors Volume 2, which will feature the Woodbridge Township mayors from 1967 to current. As I always say at this event, I could stand here for hours and go over the entire text, but the purpose of this launch is to distribute the newest brochure to everyone so that we could have you read through it on your own, and you could familiarize yourself with the township's history. And in the brochure, we do have a picture of the parade in 1952 that Bruce mentioned. It's Mayor Quigley and Captain Carlson sitting in a vehicle as they were going down a parade. So that's certainly something that's within the inclusion of the brochure.
How was the town governed before we had a mayor?
What happened was we had elections, and it was to elect committeemen within particular areas of the township. All the various committeemen who were elected would then in turn amongst themselves vote for a chairperson of the committee, and the chairperson of that committee was giving the honorific title mayor. Although in that time we didn't have an independent election of mayor, but there was a chairperson of the committee that took on the role that we know today as mayor. The real earliest beginning, you go back to our charter in 1669, the actual wording in that charter does give the town a provision, and this is the exact words, to choose our own magistrate. So I guess magistrate may have been the very first word that was used to determine a leader of the town. Now, understand this was in 1669, so many, many years before the American Revolution. And at that time, when our nation was colonized, colonies had a royal governor that was appointed by the British government. So although the provision in there was to choose a magistrate, you could take the word choose as you wish. Probably it was whoever the governor wanted us to choose at the time, which was not very democratic, but that's certainly the way it was in the 1600s. And of course, 100 years later, we had the Revolutionary War. We won the war, we won our freedom, and the rest is history. But I guess magistrate would be the very first term that was used for a leader of the town. But right before the 1911, it would be chairperson of committee, and then we had mayors, and then we would have independently elected mayors. The mayors in this brochure, back then, they were 2-year terms. All right, they were served for only 2 years, so yeah, they had to run every 2 years, which is pretty rough. I know from when my dad, they were 4-year terms. Can't imagine a 2-year term, because you win election, and it's like almost immediately you have to start campaigning for your re-election. But that's how it was for all the mayors in this brochure. They were 2-year terms. And it wasn't until 1960s when we had what was called, I believe it was a Charter Study Commission that was formed. And what this commission did is they looked over our local government, came up with proposals or any particular changes that we might consider. And one of the changes that did come about from this Charter Commission was to change the term from 2 years to 4. But I'm kind of getting into volume 2. We want to stick with volume 1. So with volume 1, all the mayors in this town served for 2 years. Anything else? Well, if there's nothing, I hope to all see you here next year when we continue this and we have the Parade of Mayors, Volume 2.
Maybe we can even have Mayor McCormick stay longer next year.
Yeah, I think that might happen if we devote a whole brochure to him. Well, hey, if he wants to spring for a Volume 3, we'll dedicate him. Okay, but Dolores, I'll give this back to you, and thank you so much for coming out and for taking a brochure. Thank you.
We do have extra brochures, so if you have people you'd like to give them to, we like to spread the wealth. They always are available at the Barron Arts Center. They're available at the library and also at the senior centers, because Brenda Velasco, our historian, takes them to all of the senior centers, and we constantly are replenishing. And they're also available at the museum. If you have not been to the Woodbridge Museum, you should try to get there. It's a beautiful, beautiful place, a great tribute to our town. We're so happy now to have another place where people can go to see about the Woodbridge history. Right now, it's only open on Sundays from 1 to 4, but they do special times for people. As a matter of fact, last Friday night, we were very fortunate because our Historic Preservation Commission meeting was held there. So Debbie is very involved in the museum, and if you ever have a chance to get there, please do, because you'll see a lot more of Woodbridge history that will catch your eyes. And I know some of you guys love Woodbridge and love Woodbridge history, so try to take advantage of that. We have a lot of refreshments in the office area, so we would invite you, please, to stay for a little bit and enjoy some refreshments. Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate your support, because it's hard work, and when we launch, we really hope that some people come to listen to what we've done. Thank you so much, and have a great day.